Hello and welcome to day number 2 of the Procurement Zen Negotiation Tips 30-day video challenge, and today we're going to talk about authority. Authority in negotiations can be a powerful weapon. As with any negotiation tactic, you can use this very much to your advantage, but of course you have to be aware of the risks. So today we're going to talk about 5 different types of authority and how you can use them in your negotiation situations. In general, authority works then especially well in negotiations if you have the feeling that your counterpart has somewhat of a weak position. So let's have a look at the different types of authority that you can use in your next negotiation. The first type of authority that we want to discuss here in this video is better deal authority. This is the one kind of authority, basically the one kind of advantage that every negotiator wants. In general, it's having a comparable deal where you simply have a better price available. But it comes with a risk. The one risk that you have in this situation is that your counterpart might say, okay, then you maybe better go with our competitor. However, if you want to go with your discussion partner, you somehow have to avoid these all or nothing situations. It's better to offer them a way out than all or nothing. And a way out, for example, could be, well, your competitor is at that price level and I know you can't make it, but maybe you can give me a faster delivery time and the requested 90 days payment terms net. The next kind of authority we're talking about is higher authority. In my experience, this is the kind of authority maybe that works even best when your counterpart knows that you're embedded in a kind of organization, and it's like saying something like, you know what, your prices are 22.8% above the market price that I have, and quite honestly I cannot get approved something like this by my management. But it doesn't stop there. You should have a counter offer available on your side that you can make your counterpart when using that. Just saying no just doesn't cut it. For example, you could use an anchor from your preparation list. You do have an anchor preparation list, right? If you don't have a prep list, just watch yesterday's video. It's linked in the video description as well as above. One big risk, obviously, with the higher authority approach is that your counterpart might say something like, well, if you can't make any decisions, obviously, maybe you need to connect us with someone who can. Try not to overstress this kind of authority, although it works very well, because you're losing respect, you're losing trust, and you lose your own authority along the way, and that's usually not a very good thing. Next is generalization and standards. This is a quite subtle approach. You deliberately use words like usually and in general we. For example, the first year of maintenance is usually included in the software license price. So in general and usually we do not pay this up front, but only after the first year. Basically, you're using a market standard here. Of course, that means some knowledge about the standards in your specific market, of course, goes a long way. If you're referring to this kind of standards, just make sure they're commonly accepted. The next and fourth kind of authority is statistical data, and this is strongly related to generalization and standards, as we have discussed before. Use either something that is a real statistic, like a cost of living index, or something that you have triggered yourself, like a customer or supplier satisfaction survey that you did with your demand owners. This will give your negotiation something like a scientific authority or scientific approach. It's not just you who is making this up, it's proven by data. And while we're talking about data, try not to reveal too much of your own data if you, for example, did something like a supplier performance survey or kind of stuff, because you don't want to dive down into the nitty-gritty. You just say you're at a level that is not satisfactory and you might want to compensate us for that. The fifth and last kind of authority that we're talking about here is the so-called spouse effect. This is basically waiting for a significant other's approval. Just in our case, the significant other doesn't mean our boyfriend, our wife, our husband, but maybe someone in our organization. This could be someone from our senior management, like in the higher authority example, but this could also be someone from our own peer group, so to say. This is very beneficial if you want to think things through, if you need to gain time, because you just need to align with someone who's not at the table, whose input you'd like to have, and you just say, sorry, but I can't make decisions today. It's also a very good tactic if a supplier tries to force you with false scarcity. Something like, it's urgent, you need to decide it now. The risk here is of course the same than with higher authority. You just have to make sure that you do not lose your counterpart's respect. So we covered 5 kinds of authority: the better deal authority, the higher authority, generalization and standards, statistical data, and the spouse effect. Which one will you use in your next negotiations? Just let me know in the comments down below. Also, I would be interested in, did this authority topic help you? You could also combine yesterday's topic, anchoring, with today's topic, authority, and just make them work together. That goes usually very well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, have a look down in the video description where I talk about anchoring, and I'll link to the video from yesterday. Also, make sure if you want to improve your negotiation results, hit like and subscribe, and you don't miss out on any of our future videos on negotiation tips here on the Procurement Zen YouTube channel. So see you tomorrow, and always happy negotiations.